Good day, everyone. Welcome again to our English for 21st Century Literature from the Philippines and the world. And for today's discussion, we are now in the lesson 4, and that is entitled To Thee We Sing. So, what is it that we are going to sing today? All right. So, this lesson class features patriotic literary creations from the colonial period, namely our national anthem, Lupang Hinirang, in Filipino and in English version, and patriotic hymn, Pilipinas Kung Mahal, and also its English translation. So these songs show allegiance to the nation. Okay, so um, way back now during the colonial periods, patriotic literary outputs class like the songs, proverbs, essays, um, they exist, which calls for freedom and foreign dominion, right? So since we were colonized by Spain and later the United States, so some literary creations were in Spanish and later some were in English. And when we developed our national language as an independent country, that is the time that we had our translations of those patriotic songs, proverbs, and poems and other literary works using our native language. So that's what we are going to talk about today. So, for the lesson objective, everyone, you will be able to first compare translations of poetic literary texts across languages. Second, appreciate the patriotic songs and verses produced during the colonial times. Lastly, explain texts in terms of literary elements, genre, and traditions. And of course, reflect on our patriotic hymn, national anthem also. Okay? All right, so these are our literary selections. Okay, so the first part for this lesson will be about our national anthem, Lupang Hinirang, in Filipino and in English translation. And the second part will be about Pilipinas Kung Mahal, the Tagalog version, as well as the English translation. Yes, and I believe everybody knows how to sing these patriotic songs or patriotic hymn of our country because um, we have sung this one since we were in elementary. Correct? Yes. We were taught and we were able to memorize the lyrics of these songs. So, without further ado, let's get started with our first part of our discussion, and that is the Philippine national anthem, Lupang Hinirang. Okay, so it is from the Spanish poem class written by Jose Palma, and its musical score is composed by Julian Felipe. Okay, all right, don't forget about that one. So let's go to the next slide. Okay, yeah, but before that one, no, let's talk about RA number 8491 first. So this Republic Act reminds us to show respect, first of all, to our Philippine flag, and secondly, to our national anthem. So it says here, as a sign of respect, all persons shall stand at attention and face the Philippine flag, if there is one displayed, and if there is none, they shall face the band or the conductor of the national anthem. At the first note, all persons shall execute a salute by placing the right palm over their left chests. Those in military, scouting, citizens' military training, and security guard uniforms shall give the salute prescribed by their regulations. The salute shall be completed upon the last note of the anthem. And the anthem class shall not be played and sung for mere recreation, amusement, or entertainment purposes. except on the following occasions: A. International competitions where the Philippines is the host or has a representative. Letter B. Local competitions. C. During signing off and signing on of radio broadcasting and television stations. D. Before the initial and last screening of films or before the opening of theater performances. And lastly, other occasions as may be allowed by the Institute. And so for our discussion, so this is for educational purposes, I am going to play to you our national anthem while you will read the lyrics, okay, to appreciate more, no, how beautiful this poem is, or Lupang Hinirang, and as well as in English translation. Okay, so this time, allow me to play to you, uh, for my background, no, the our national anthem, Lupang Hinirang. So you can also sing this song. All right. Okay, now this time I'm going to play the Philippine hymn, the English translation of our national anthem, and this is translated by Camilo Oshis A.L. Lam.
Shall the sun returning, with fervor burning, thee to our souls adore. And dear and holy, cradle of noble heroes, there shall invaders trample thy sacred shores, ever within the skies and through the clouds and all the hills and seas. We behold the rain and feel the throb of glorious liberty. Thy banner dear to all our hearts, and sun that stars the light. Oh, and ever shall in shining things we dear thy tyrants fight. Beautiful land of love, oh land of light, in thy embrace is rapture to lie. For it is glory ever when thou art born, for as thy sons to suffer and die.
All right, so that was our Philippine national anthem, Lupang Hinirang, and Philippine hymn. So if you notice, it is beautifully composed, and the musicality, the rhythm, diba? And especially the words used. It really tells a lot about Filipinos and the experiences and struggle of Filipinos to achieve freedom against colonizers in the past. So we have to really appreciate how beautiful this song is. All right, so if you notice us, yes, you might encounter these terms, okay, especially in our, actually in both the Filipino version and in English translation. Okay, so these terms, let's start with letter E, no? Okay, so it talks about the apostrophe. The apostrophe that we're talking right now is the punctuation mark. Okay, so one use of apostrophe class is to indicate that a letter or letters is or are omitted in the word. Okay? So I'd like you to try to figure out what you think is the full word of the following words with apostrophe. that is used, in our Philippine national anthem. So the first one, okay, ner. What do you think? Okay, then we have or. Okay, number 3, teas. Okay, now in Tagalog or in Filipino, we have moy. The 5th is di. 6th is nyay. 7th, luwalhatit. And number 8, ligayay. Okay, so I'm sure class na for some of these words with apostrophe, you have an idea, especially in Tagalog or in these Filipino terms. Yeah, but in English, let's try to figure out after letter B. Okay, so for the letter B, this time now, this talks about the early modern English pronoun. Okay, that is also used in our lyrics, no? In our national anthem. So, the same thing, no? You're going to try to figure out what's the present day equivalent of the following pronouns used in the anthem, such as the first one is thee, second, thou, third, thine, and fourth, thy. Okay, if you want to challenge yourself, you may pause the video, trying to answer. Okay, but this time now, let's reveal the answers. Okay, there you go. So for letter A, apostrophe, the use of apostrophe class as a punctuation mark. So number 1, ner, that is never. Okay, or is over. So if you notice, class, no, what is replaced by an apostrophe? It's omitted. So for the number 1, ner, letter V, okay, it is omitted and it's replaced by apostrophe. Same goes with number 2, also letter V. So instead of saying over, you're going to say or. Alright? And that is actually accepted now, especially when it comes to poems or classical songs, like that, traditional, okay, kind of literary works. Anyway, for number 3, apostrophe, then tease, it is. So this time, this is actually 2 words, combined. So it is tease. Okay, for Tagalog or Filipino, we have moy. Okay, that is moay. Okay, number 5, di is hindi. 6, nyay, that is nyaay. Okay, next, luwalhatit. Okay, very easy, that is just luwalhati at. Alright, and number 8, ligayay, that is ligaya ay. Okay, alright. Now, for letter B, the early modern English pronoun, we only have 4, right? That is in English translation. So, for the number 1, thee means you. Thou also means you. All right. And we have thine, yours, and thy means your. Okay. So let's take a look at number 1 and 2. You might be confusing as to how to use thee and thou. Okay? Okay. For the number 1, for the thee, usually it is the object in the sentence. Alright? So, for example, when you say to you, instead of saying to you, you're just simply going to say to thee. Alright? But when it comes to thou, you usually use this one if the word you is the subject in the sentence, and especially if it is the the first word in the sentence. For example, um, in the Ten Commandments, no, if you notice that, let's say, thou shall not steal, right? So you shall not steal. Okay? So that's basically how you use thee and thou. Yes, and then we have thine. Again, thine is yours. That is possessive pronoun. And then thy is your. Okay? All right. So these terms with the use of apostrophe and the early modern English pronoun, they are used in our national anthem. Okay, let's proceed to the next part. Okay, letter C, the use of apostrophe. This time, the apostrophe that we are talking about is a figure of speech. The apostrophe in letter A, that's the punctuation mark. Now this time, literary device. Okay, so um, an apostrophe class that is a literary device or a figure of speech is used to address an imaginary character. You are calling an imaginary character. Okay? All right. And usually, when you are using apostrophe, you are using the second person point of view in the song or in the poem or in a story. Okay? So it's like the speaker is directly talking or speaking to that imaginary persona or addressee or character. So again, that is what we call apostrophe. Now, my question to you is, who is addressed in the anthem? Who is addressed? Diba class, when we are going to sing Lupang Hinirang, yes, we sing it as Filipinos, right? And we sing it for whom? But we have that kind of question. So who is addressed in the anthem? If your answer is our country, the Philippines, you are correct. Okay? So the Philippine national anthem is directly addressed in the anthem. Okay? So, yes, basically, our national anthem uses apostrophe. Yes, because we Filipinos, we sing it for our country. And then we directly talk to our country. And that is showing apostrophe, literary device, right? Now, the second question is, by what names is it called? So I have here on the table for stanza 1, stanza 2, and stanza 5 for both the Filipino version as well as the English version. So in the first stanza, yes, of the two songs, for the Filipino version, our Philippines, or our country, is named Bayang Magiliw. Next is Perlas ng Silanganan. Diba? Bayang Magiliw, Perlas ng Silanganan. Yes, we call our country that way in the first stanza. Yeah, same goes with the English version in the first stanza. Land of the morning, child of the sun returning. Alright? In the second stanza, we call our country Lupang Hinirang. Now, so that is the title of our anthem. No? So, Lupang Hinirang, and then Duyan Kanang Magiting. For English version, we have Land, Dear, and Holy, Cradle of Noble Heroes. Alright? Okay, and the next apostrophe, name of our country, with the use of apostrophe literary device, is found in the fifth stanza, and that is Lupa ng Araw ng Luwalhati Pagsinta. Okay, for English version, we have Beautiful Land of Love, O Land of light. Okay, so those are the names we call to our country when we sing our national anthem. All right, you might not be that um, conscious about this one, but yes, we directly addressed our national anthem to our country. Okay, now this time I have a question, everyone. So the national anthem reflects the struggles that Filipinos were facing then, and it also shows the nationalistic and resilient attitude of Filipinos. Now the question is, which part of the anthem reflects the history of the Philippines? So I want you to think about that one, class. Is there? Okay, I'm gonna show you again the lyrics, no? Okay, let's go over here. All right. So again, which part of the national anthem, either in Tagalog version or in English version, reflects the struggles of Filipinos? You can try to figure out which stanza they are found. Okay, so if you answered or if you found it firstly in the line 3 and 4 of the stanza 2 that says, Sa manlulupig di ka pasisiil. And in English, Ner shall invaders trample thy sacred shore. If that's your answer, you are correct. Okay? So from that, that actually shows the struggle of Filipinos facing before, no? Especially during colonization. Right? Okay. Is there another stanza that shows or reflects the struggles of Filipinos before? It's also found in stanza 5. Okay? Stanza 5, lines 3 and 4. Yeah, so in Lupang Hinirang, it says here, Aming ligaya na pag may mang-aapi. That word no mang-aapi. Ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Okay, and in English translation, but it is glory ever when thou art wronged, for us thy son to suffer and die. Okay? Yes, so this definitely reminds us that we should not forget what Filipinos have been going through in the past. That's part of our history. That's part of our identity as Filipinos. Their struggles, sacrifices, becoming a hero, diba? Okay, until we have to show patriotism to our country. Okay. All right. Now next is I have another question for you. Okay, this one. Which part of the anthem, whether the Filipino version or the English translation, resonates with you as a Filipino, and why? And I want you, class, to answer this one during our face-to-face class the next time, when we meet for this one, okay? Alright, so I give this one as a short reading work. Okay. Okay, now this time, we are now finished with our Lupang Hinirang, our national anthem, Philippine hymn discussion. It's just very short, no? Now this time, let's go over to the second part of the lesson 4, which is about patriotic hymn in colonial times. Okay, so we are going to talk about Philippines, My Philippines. That was written by Prescott F. Jernigan and Francisco Santiago in 1907, while the lyrics of its Filipino counterpart, Pilipinas Kung Mahal, was written by Ildefonso Santos in 1931 to the same musical score by Francisco Santiago. Okay, and these are, yes, Philippines, My Philippines in English translation. And in the Filipino version, we have Pilipinas Kung Mahal. So usually I remember we sang this one, Pilipinas Kung Mahal, after the flag retreat. Yes, before we go home, when we were still in elementary. So we were able to memorize this one. But in English translation, I haven't really memorized this one. Okay, let's go first with the Pilipinas Kung Mahal. I hope that you can remember the tone of this one. Okay, so allow me to sing this one to you, and you can also sing this one with me. Alright. Ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw, Pilipinas kong mahal, ang puso ko at buhay man, sa iyo'y ibibigay, tungkulin ko'y gagampanan, na lagi kang paglingkuran, ang laya mo'y babantayan, Pilipinas kong hirap. Okay, medyo pagaw yun. No? Okay, anyway, for the English version, it's also the same tone. Yeah, it's I love my own, my native land, Philippines, my Philippines, to thee I give my heart and hand. Philippines, my Philippines, the trees that crown thy mountains grand, the seas that beat upon the strand, awake my heart to thy command, Philippines, my Philippines. And so on. Okay, just continue doing that tone until the end of the English translation. No? So this is also beautifully composed, structured, the use of words, yeah, and definitely reflects us Filipinos, right? Yeah, how beautiful Philippines is and how beautiful Filipinos are. Okay, all right. So, okay, now if you noticed, let's know there are some rhyming words that we can find in this patriotic hymn, right? For the English version, no, for the first stanza, we have land, hand, grand, strand. Okay, next we have sea, B, sea, Philippines, B, diba? The, we, decree. Yes, and then we have the third, that is sky, die, high, nigh, sigh. Yeah, and that's the end. All right, so it uses rhyming words. For the Filipino version, do we have rhyming words here? Man, gagampanan, paglingkuran, babantayan. Alright. Yeah, it's because these patriotic hymns, they are also in poem or poetry pa siya first. Yes. Okay. So, do I have some questions here? Okay. So yeah, this time class, no, to learn more about the two patriotic hymn in Tagalog and in English, they actually use figures of speech, okay, especially the English translation. And the figures of speech used in this English translation are anaphora, apostrophe, and personification. Okay, so I'm sure that you are all familiar with this one, and then let's recall Pudno so that you can identify these figures of speech used in the patriotic hymn. So the first one is what we call anaphora. Okay, anaphora class is figure of speech characterized by the repetition of a word or expression in two or more lines. So again, repetition of a word or expression in two or more lines. Okay, so for example, my dreams when scarcely a lad adolescent, my dreams when already a youth. So, which phrase is repeated? Correct, that is my dreams. So, my dreams in the first line, second line, there is another my dreams. So, that's an example of anaphora. Okay. Okay, now let's try to figure out, going back to the lyrics of our patriotic hymn. Which one do you think is anaphora? Okay, let's go to the English version. Very good. The title itself, no, Philippines, my Philippines. It has been repeated in every stanza. Yeah, actually, wala ni nako na kuan gina-divide ang kada stanza niya. Anyway, it has been repeated for how many lines? The phrase is one. This line, Philippines, my Philippines, right? And for the Tagalog version, we have anaphora also here. Pilipinas kong, right? Because the second line, Pilipinas kong mahal, the last line, it's Pilipinas kong hirang. Okay, right? Okay, so that's the anaphora there. Next is anastrophe. So anastrophe is a figure of speech characterized by the inversion of words or phrases. Inversion. So, nagka-bali-bali, no, ang mga words. For example, it says here, in God rest I. And its inversion is, in God I rest. So that's actually the normal way of saying that one, no, in God I rest. But in poetry, or with this figure of speech, anastrophe, you can actually say, in God rest I. Instead of saying, in God I rest. Okay? Okay, can we find some anastrophe here? Let's try to identify. If we have anastrophe, again, anastrophe is inversion of words or phrases. Okay, I want you class to go to the second stanza of the English version and the third line. Second stanza here. Isn't it? And third line. Asa man ang second stanza here? Philippines Bible, yes. See. Okay, here. This one. The line, thy people we shall ever be. Okay. Remember what's thy, everyone? What's the meaning of thy? That's your, diba? So thy people, that's your people. So if I'm going to count this one from the first line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11th. It's 11th line from the top. Thy people we shall ever be. That's an example of anastrophe. Why? Okay. Because its normal way of saying that one is we shall ever be thy people. Diba? We shall ever be your people. Correct? But in anastrophe, there is inversion here, so it is expressed in thy people we shall ever be. Okay? Instead of we shall ever be your people. And we also have in them think it's in the third stanza. Yeah, this part. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, here. Kaninga part, no? Yet still beneath the ardent sky. So from that line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth. It says here, in them shall breathe the purpose high. Again, this one, in them shall breathe the purpose high. That's also an example of anastrophe. Why? Why so? So, diba? In them shall ever breathe the purpose high. The normal way to say that one is, the purpose high shall breathe in them. Again, the purpose high, that's the subject in that sentence, shall breathe in them. That's the how you normally say that one. And in anastrophe, there is inversion. It says there, in them shall breathe the purpose high. Did you get it now, class? I hope you understand that on what is anastrophe. Okay, let's go over to next one. It's apostrophe. Okay, so apostrophe, everyone, this time now. Actually, we have talked about this one in the first topic, right? In the national anthem. Apostrophe as literary device, not the punctuation mark. Okay. All right. So again, when we say apostrophe, this is a figure of speech in which an absent person or an abstract entity or thing is addressed. Again, absent person or an abstract entity or thing is addressed. So we have here an example. Farewell, my adored land, region of the sun carest. By the way, these examples I got this one from my last farewell by Dr. Jose Rizal, but we are not going to talk about that one. So it says here again, farewell, my adored land, region of the sun carest. So the speaker here, Dr. Jose Rizal, or the Filipino people, is bidding farewell to the adored land, and the adored land we are talking about here is, of course, our country. Okay, so the speaker is directly talking to the addressee, the absent person or imaginary character. That is an apostrophe. Okay. All right. So do we have apostrophe in this patriotic hymn? Definitely yes. From the title itself, no, Philippines, my Philippines. So we Filipinos, as the singer or the speaker of these patriotic hymn, we are directly talking to our country. Yeah, using the lines, Philippines, my Philippines, Pilipinas kong mahal. So, yeah, definitely that is an apostrophe. Okay, because we are, again, directly speaking to the abstract entity or absent character. Alright? Let's say, for example, in Tagalog version, ang bayan ko'y tanging ikaw. Diba? I love my own, my native land. Philippines, my Philippines. To you, my heart, to you I give my heart and hand. Diba? So that is apostrophe. Lastly, we have personification. Yeah, personification, everyone. Okay, so this one is the figure of speech where animals, things, ideas are given human qualities. Yeah, I'm sure you know what personification is from the word persona, no? Person. But you just give human qualities to those that are lifeless things, no? Or even ideas. So, for example, allow the wind to sigh. And the winds don't usually sigh, like only the people, right? But the winds, do that one in this line, in this example. Okay. So, do we have some apostrophes here in our patriotic hymn? Okay, let's take a look at the Fifth line in the English translation. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Kani siya, oh? The trees that crown thy mountains grand. Mhm. Yeah, so the trees looks like the crown or that crown. No, crown ang kanang mountain with the trees. So yeah, it's like the trees are the trees here are personified, no, given human quality. Napa ba? And also the sixth line, the seas that beat upon my strand, upon thy strand. Okay, that's for the English version. For the Tagalog version, okay, there is no personification here, particularly in the Pilipinas kong mahal. Right? Okay, so that's it. So those are actually the 4 figures of speech that we can find in the patriotic hymn in English and in Filipino. Maybe you can find other figures of speech, class, no? So yeah, that's your challenge. Try to figure out if there are other literary devices or figures of speech used in the patriotic hymn or even in the Lupang Hinirang. But anyway, for our book, yeah, we are focusing on these 4. So I have provided here some examples in our patriotic hymn, everyone. I want you guys to read that one. Okay. Yes, and I have a question to you. Which of the 2 versions do you find more effective in communicating love for the country? Is it the Tagalog version or the English? And which lines from either song resonate with you and why? Okay, and that's for me to figure out for your answer. So for our next face-to-face class, yes, just prepare an answer to this question because I might be calling your name. I want to hear from you. I'm encouraging you to share your thoughts and your answers to this question regarding our discussion today. Okay, and my last question to you is, how will you show patriotism? By the way, just disregard this one. Answer this question. Okay, just disregard that. Okay, this time I'm not giving forum question using our LMS, but we are going to talk about this one. We are going to do this one during our face-to-face class. Okay, this kind of question: how will you show patriotism in a very simple way on your own? How do you usually practice patriotism? Diba? Okay, and again, I want to hear from you, from your answers during our class. And, well, that definitely ends our discussion today for the lesson 4, To Thee We Sing. So, I hope while we are having this discussion, you have reflected, you have imagined our Philippine history, the struggles of the Filipino people before, during the colonization, how we stood for our right and freedom. Yeah. And of course appreciate our patriotic literary works. Okay, that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening to my recorded discussion, and just prepare for your answers to those questions that I ask you for the oral participation. Okay, good luck everyone, and goodbye. Have a great day ahead.